Georgia lawmakers worked well past midnight to finish up the legislative session on sine die. The late night meant lawmakers spent up until the last possible minute trying to get their bills passed and sent to Governor Brian Kemp's desk.
Atlanta News First reporter Sarah Hammond joins us live here in the studio. So what were the key takeaways from this final day, Sarah?
Well, of course, unsurprisingly, it was a very long night for lawmakers as both chambers wrapped up around 1 o'clock this morning, marking the end of this legislative session and Governor Brian Kemp's final sine die as governor. Now, one measure that went back and forth last night, property tax relief. What passed is actually a scaled back version of what was initially presented, and both chambers passed a bill that cuts income taxes down to just under 4% if certain financial conditions are met. Both the House and the Senate approved an almost $40 billion budget with a lot of emphasis on education. But one thing that did not get resolved last night was an election overhaul ahead of a July deadline to remove QR codes from voters' ballots. That could send lawmakers back to the Capitol for a special session, but that all depends on Governor Kemp.
We came up with some really good plans that we thought would work. And the deeper we dug and the farther we got into the subject matter, we realized that most of those plans take more time than we have.
And we've reached out to the governor's office to see if a special session is something he's possibly contemplating. But one thing is for sure, those bills passed yesterday and in the days prior now head to Governor Kemp's desk for his signature. Back to you.
Sarah, thank you.